Hello everybody, it's Dr. Boz, and I am breaking my fast by eating ice cream. And it was really good. Our 56 hours of fasting this week was a little rough on me after being on vacation for 2.5 weeks. My goodness, it's so good. If you are a follower of the show, you will know that fasting every week is normal for me, but eating ice cream is not normal for me, especially as a way to break my fast. I have been a 4-hour podcast. Who has time to listen to a 4-hour podcast? Anyway, I wanted to listen to them. There was about 7 of those that I was really like, I've got to sit still and listen to these. And when I was listening to one of the 4-hour podcasts, it was on muscle mass, muscle development, what are some of the key components that I need to be aware of for my advanced athletes, but also for my elderly patients who I am really trying to advise, trying to protect that loss of muscle mass while doing a strong ketogenic diet. And so the conversation was great. And I was getting to the end of the podcast thinking, is there anything applicable that I have learned in all these 4 hours that I can help my patients with? And that's when they taught me about this ice cream. So I am going to tell you about this ice cream at the end of the podcast. I will tell you that right before I started eating it, I checked my ketones, yeah, 2.7, and my glucose was 69. I'm going to have that on my continuous glucose app that I'm going to show you even more of that at the end of the show. Because I will tell you for sure, I never expected that I would ever do dirty keto. So stick around and you're going to see what has me thinking differently and what might be something that hopefully you find useful. I find it very useful. Something I dove into on, I think this was a bus ride for about 5 hours, where I got to talk about how does GLP-1, the release of that, have a metabolic and then a chronotherapeutic effect. We're not going to go into all that, but what does allulose do for that? All right, so here is this paper. When I look at this paper, there's a few things I've poured into this, really trying to say that allulose, that thing that looks a lot like fructose, it has some very specific impacts on the body. And I should have had a clue when the people that I respect were all getting very excited about this, that this literature that came out really helped them. I'm going to show you the punchline. There's a couple of graphs I'm going to show you because I don't want you to just skimp over this. I think it is powerful what this shows people. So first of all, the oral administration, meaning just like when you consume allulose, it induces the GLP-1 secretion, so that hormone that suppresses our hunger, that it is not subtle, that we were looking at several of those other hormones that I was just showing you on that slide. They did not change when allulose was swallowed, but that GLP-1 did. Now there's a couple things. I spent a lot of time on this on another video saying, wow, if somebody swallowed saline, I mean, maybe they knew it was saline or maybe they didn't, but they swallowed saline versus swallowing 1 gram per kilogram of allulose, and then watching how much of the GLP-1 was found in circulation. Just a huge spike on that. I can't help but show the part where they lost the weight. You know, what they're really looking at here on this graph is if they put in 0.3 grams per kilogram of allulose versus 1 gram versus 3 grams. So here's the 0.3, here's the 1, and here's the 3. And what you're looking at here is the food intake. So they ate much less. This is at the half an hour mark, the hour mark, 2-hour marks, and 3-hour marks. By 24 hours, it doesn't have any effect. The effect had, you can say, wore off. But I like this graph down here that shows the weight loss. Okay, so this, again, wild type, not genetically changed, we're fed a high-fat diet. Saline was put in, and this is 3 grams. You'll notice that the body weight gain, and these are mice, but look at that. The ones with saline stayed the same, hardly had any weight change. But boy, look at the change in weight when they had that high dose of allulose. They knocked out the ability to perceive GLP-1. Then they gave that allulose again, and it did not work. They did not have the weight gain. So really targeting to see, can we find exactly why adding allulose, this thing that looks like fructose, why would that cause a change in their weight? Why is it working this way? All right, I know this is going a little longer than maybe you were signing up for, but hang in there because I want to go right back to that slide presentation to say what I'm trying to get you to see is when we knocked out that enzyme in the mice who had the knockout keto-kinase, it was much like what happens when allulose bumps out fructose from binding in that GLUT5. So that receptor, when allulose is binding there, fructose can't. And what happens to fructose? It goes in one end and you find it in the urine. When you have allulose blocking that absorption in the epithelial cells of your gut and in the cells of your liver, not only does uric acid go down, oh my goodness, your production of glucose is down, your improvement for hunger is less. Which brings me back to this 4-hour podcast of these protein people, these muscle builders that are telling me, geez, after 4 hours of talking about muscle metabolism, I think I'm the only one who's listening at the end of that spiel. But I got this really important tip. As many of you know, I have a son who is a wrestler. They won the state championship this year. I take no credit for that, but I do find pride in saying my son, a wrestler, did not, spit and cut weight. He really had these metabolic tricks to say, how do you get the highest mitochondria in that muscle cell? How do you lose fat and protect the loss of muscle mass? And it's a lot of things I teach my patients, but I had the glorious moments of teaching my son how to do that so that, well, A, his brain development would not be muted as he doesn't end up in my basement. I do want to show you that I've eaten ice cream for the last hour. This is a 3-hour, this is for my continuous glucose meter. And for the whole hour, despite I ate the whole thing, I started out I had 2 meters, one said 69 and one said 84. So 6 hours of sugars, all super stable. And I just ate ice cream in there. For the last hour, it should have gone up. It should have gone up. So what is it that I did? I'm gonna double check just to make sure that my glucose is what I say it is, because I do really care about showing you, not just telling you what to do, but showing you. Let's do this finger. And proving what my blood sugar is. So yeah, 82. So it's right on. I'll check a ketones here in just a second, but so let me get to the end of this podcast. So this guy, this incredible expert, I'm not an expert at anything close to what they are. They are exercise physiologists. They have the highest performing athletes, that especially the ones that get on stage for being judged for body mass, body muscles. And Huberman was asking the other man, you've really been advising people for those last 4 years and you get amazing results. Like you're a legend in the space of really coaching people to this optimal performance. What's your trick? And he said, oh, it's protein-based ice cream. It's protein-based ice cream. And I'm like, what? How do you get protein-based ice cream? He goes, well, if you've ever made ice cream and you make it at home, it's as hard as a rock. It's not that. It's not soft serve and feels good. Protein-made ice cream would make it harder. So I listened to a couple of other podcasts to say, well, how would you make that protein-based ice cream? Well, for starters, especially after all the reading I'd been doing in the last week, I said, no, we're going to use the sugar that is allulose-based sugar. Again, bumping my fructose out of the way, making sure that my keto-hexokinase doesn't have anything to do, and sweetening it with sugar. I put strawberries in there. So there was some fructose in my ice cream because I made strawberry ice cream. So I put some frozen strawberries in there. I put protein, and specifically they were talking about this on that place, not using a milk-based protein, but really using an egg-based protein. So the egg, I'd never done this before either, but I said, okay, let's go see what it is. They weren't as specific that you had to have the egg-based. They just said this seems to have a better range of those branch chain amino acids, the building blocks for these proteins. But he said the key game changer for my clients doing well was this silly thing. And I had my team order this while I was away to say, all right, I'm trying this ice cream maker. It truly takes the rock hard ice cream that you make at home, which I added, enough protein. I use coconut milk in mine. One of them I use coconut milk, one I use cream. Heavy whipping cream, just to see how that tasted. The only sugar I used was allulose. And then it asked for some lemon, and I added pucker up. So it's got ketones in it. Okay, the biggest skeptics in my house are that, well, that youngest son just turned 18 while I was away. And oh, if it tastes funny, he's like, no, I would rather not eat. So he does eat sardines, so he's not super picky, but if I try to make him something funny, he doesn't have any forgiveness. And his dad, my husband, is allergic to stevia. So another fake sugar I wasn't sure I was going to get away with it. So I made 2 recipes. One was chocolate and one was a fruit-based with this tartness added from the ketones. And oh my goodness, they asked for seconds of the ice cream. And then I told them, this is a high protein ice cream that will not spike your blood sugar. And this is my hack. This is when I'm going to fail upwards. I'm going to stop having, I mean, I don't go buy it, but dang, if my husband buys it and I tell him, just buy the little pint so you eat it and I don't see it. And then I kind of get chirpy if I don't get a bite. But the punchline was, I'm failing upwards. I know this is a weakness of mine. I know that sweets are something that I don't like a lot of, but the one thing I need for is other places in my life where I put protein in. And if I can take something that tastes as good as that, have it be high protein, ketogenic, and it keeps that blood sugar that flat,